have this. This is a fabric staple. You can buy this at the hardware store, and it's just steel, and I've cut it in half to create the legs, and it's a nice diameter for the legs of this piece. And then what I've done is I've taken and I've cut it in half, and I've bent the legs holding a pliers, and I've stuck them into a flat piece of clay and pinched all around. I've pinched, pinched. I've pinched around the bottom, and then I've put a piece of clay across the top and then let it dry completely. So that's step one to making a bird. The one thing that you will notice is that the knees of the bird bend the opposite direction, and go ahead and look in the picture, bend the opposite direction from our legs. I don't know if that's the knee or I don't know what that joint is called, but it bends the opposite direction. After I have made the legs and set them aside to dry, I take a piece of clay and I form a circular ball. I then take my thumb, push it into the end of it, and then pinch out, which creates a pinch pot. Here's a little trick. If this gets too round, you can take it, tear it. You can tear it and fold it over and close it, and it will become narrower. So I make 2 of these little pinch pots for the body. And as I've done before, I put them together and seal it. By pulling one over the other gently. And now I have a body. Now this body looks a little too long for me, so I'm actually going to pinch off part of it, just make it a little smaller. Change the shape of it a little bit. Then I'm going to take a wire that I've cut, and I can stick it in there, stick it in the neck, and that's going to allow me to make a head and neck. I may want to shape that before I do that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take body and attach it to the legs. So I'm going to dip it in water and then just push the legs on, the legs that have already dried, and I'm going to pinch around, and then I have, let's see, I have this crane shape that I need to let dry. Now, before I let this dry, I may want to add some feather-like marks on it. I'm not so interested in drawing feathers exactly to look like feathers, but what I am interested in are making marks. So one way to do this you can also use a rounded, a smaller one would work better for this little guy. But the trick is just to make marks that feel like feathers or seem like feathers. Now I set this aside and let it dry so that I can add more to it a little bit later.